Hi everyone, and welcome to this short demo of the grievance and complaint logging system, the GCLS. This video only aims to show some of the basic features of the GCLS. If you want more information or a manual on how to actually apply this in your project, please go to the isafeguards.com website, where there's a handbook as well as some of the modules that you need to download to actually incubate this into your project websites. So in this video, I'll focus on the three main pillars of the GCLS. That is how your complaints are actually submitted, how these are managed once received, and also how data and complaints are actually collected and published. So first, I want to demonstrate how complaints and grievances are submitted. Complaints and grievances can be submitted in all sorts of different kinds of way, in person, via text message, via email, and through like project websites if you had one. So first, let me show you how complaints are entered via a website using the example of one of our projects, the Tuvalu Aviation Investment Project. As you can see here, this is the project's website, and on the right side, there's a tab to click Make a Complaint. I've already pre-populated this before to save some time, so here's all my contact information, how I can be reached, and here in the message, I can enter my complaint. My complaint today is my house is on fire. I should call the fire brigade instead, but that's what I put in for today. I can best contact via email and then show that I'm not a robot. So as you can see here, once I've submitted my information, it gives me a thank you message. It also actually sends a confirmation both to my telephone and to my email address to show that this has actually been received. Now, this information is straight fed into the back end of this website, which is powered by Joomla, and I will show you now how this looks like. So this is the back end of the system, shows grievances and complaints, and if I refresh this, you're able to see here is actually my complaint has been entered into the system. Now, for all other ways of how grievances and complaints could be submitted, so for example, someone calls me and gives it verbally to me, then I can put it on here. I can enter a new grievance and complaint manually at the back end. So here's same like information actually that's provided, and some information on the actual complaint itself. Now, how to manage a complaint. So as you can see here, this is marked in orange because it's open. I can open the complaint here and I see some information here. So that's all the information I've given in. Sometimes you have to actually process the message, maybe use a lot of abbreviation, or it's kind of difficult to understand, or I need to follow up to actually understand what the complaint is or the grievance. And so I actually have to enter this in here. House is on fire. And then I have to actually categorize the complaint. So first I have to say, is this actually related to anything related to the World Bank project? In this case, maybe yes, it is, because the house was built by the World Bank and wasn't fireproof. Then I have to make the differentiation between complaint and grievance, and I think Chris has already explained this probably in his presentation. Say this is a grievance in that sense. Then I have to categorize this. This is custom, like you decide as a project which ones should be the different complaint categories. For example, in my case, it doesn't really fit anything, so let's say it's other. And then I have to, and it's optional, assign it maybe to a support group. Maybe I'm not the best person to actually manage this. Maybe I have a person in my team or managing the grievances that is in a better position to actually deal with this, and so I can assign this to this person. So I just took environment. Then also it can be assigned to a specific contract if that's the case. For this project we don't have that, but this can be, and there's other ways you can customize this. Then I have to identify the location if I can, where this is actually happening. I can do this both by putting in latitude and longitude information or adding the location actually via Google Maps feature that we have here. If I have pictures of the grievance and complaint or related to it, then I actually can select and upload these here too. Now I save this information. So as you can see here, now these are the notifications. The two things that have already happened is that a text message has been sent to me and I got an acknowledgement email to show that I've submitted this. You can see here underneath there's actually the status of this is shown. Then I have to say what action I'm going to take, call the fire brigade, which means that that's what I'm going to do. And then I have already, I guess I've done that. I've called them. They're going to their house. They actually took out the fire. So this has been sold. Fire has been taken out by fire brigade. So in that way, I can save this, and this has actually been resolved. But just in order to monitor everything that has happened, actually, you have an activity log here. And let's say, like Chris, in this case, the user has like done all these things, but maybe someone else has come in, and so multiple people can work on the same complaint. Now, if I go to the house and I see, well, this has actually not been resolved, I can reopen the complaint actually here and say, okay, no, this hasn't actually happened. You need to go back and do this. So this is how you actually manage. In this project, there's not a lot of complaints, but I'll show you afterwards another example. So this is now marked in blue, which means that it has been resolved at this stage. As you can see on the left side, there's also some information that like on data capture. So you can capture data according to the different categories, to different contracts, to different locations, to give you an overview actually of where the complaints are majorly coming from and investigate those. There's also a tab on statistics where you have a general summary of how many complaints have been resolved. So to see how are you progressing actually on resolving complaints. This is also done in a visual manner here. You see the one resolved today. A summary table with all the statistics and how long it took them to actually address some of the grievances and complaints, and all this is really helpful, and you can download all this information based on different time periods. This information is actually also shown on the project websites, and I'll show you this for another project in a minute. So given this project didn't have a lot of complaints and grievances, I also want to show you this for another project that has that was more involved with beneficiaries, and so it had a little more potential for grievances, and so I want to show you this in particular. So here's again the grievance and logging system. You can see here first the blue things come up. These are some of the complaints that have not been resolved yet. Complaints pop up here depending on how long you've said a complaint should actually be resolved by. So complaints are normally categorized to different priorities, so low, medium, and high. And so you as a project have to define, okay, low could take 30 days to resolve it, whereas a high project should be resolved immediately in 2 or 3 days. This is decided on each project's basis, depending on that. As you can see here, there's a lot more different kinds. You can sort them here, actually depending on the category, or on what the contract is, or what priority. So you only want to look at high priority ones, for example. You can look at those here. Some of those have been resolved, and so you can just click on one and say, okay, what is, let's see, like one that has been actually closed here to look at. You can open those and you can say, for example, let's see this one, beneficiary classification. You have some information like this is a telephone call, this person called in, claimed to be an A1 beneficiary and land use have been cleared and was wondering about the delay of what's going on. So you notified this person automatically. And then you said, okay, here's the resolution. It was confirmed that this person actually wasn't eligible for the project. And here you can see the activity log of everyone who's actually worked on this. In this case, it was Aina who worked on this. So this is on a project that has a little more to it, so you can see a sort of a live complaint rather than my house is on fire. These statistics are then also recorded here. This is for this project. And you can see here some of the complaints that have been received. Normally it's over the last 60 days, so this project has actually not received a lot of new ones over that time. And then you can also show the map if geo information has been entered, and some of the information here is the statistics you have related to how you do this. So this is in basic how the GCLS works. For more questions, I'm sure you can fire away at Chris. Thanks so much.